She looked like him to me too. I said, oh, look at her, look at your baby, woo, 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 no. And then he pulled the hat off. He said, Mom, what's with this hairline?
That is his daddy hairline.
Daddy is 51 years old.
People tell me that she been hanging out, hopping in and out of cars, you know what I mean? I had a friend that told me they went to a party one time with some guy at the party. That was around the time when the baby was gonna be conceived.
After she had the baby, she had told me the whole time she was pregnant that she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. And another thing is she had the baby and tagged dude name in the picture when the baby was first born. Where she tagged another dude.
Mr. Lang is all in his feelings, wishing hard that little Janelle is his, despite the swirling cloud of doubt hanging over him. On the flip side, Ms. Brown and her mom are 100% certain there's no other dad in the picture, puzzled by the Lang's angst.
Now, Ms. Brown, you and your mother are also here today claiming there's absolutely no possible father for your baby. You argue that neither of you understand why the Langs are so distraught today because they haven't bothered to see the child in months.
Ms. Lang drops a bombshell, accusing Ms. Brown of sneaking around with her son's lifelong pal, Mr. Dixon, stirring up a paternity puzzle. Ms. Brown fires back, totally denying the fling, defending her honor against the sandbox betrayal saga.
Miss Brown slept with my son's best friend from the sandbox best friend, Mr. Dixon's.
Is that true?
No,
Ms.
that's
Brown?
not true, Your Honor. I've never slept with Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon and Mr. Lang been not friends for a while. They've been going at it, trying to fight each other.
Ms. Brown reminisces about Mr. Lang's over-the-moon reaction to her pregnancy news. Quite the contrast to his mom, who's brewing a storm of suspicion, especially after Mr. Dixon throws in his 2 cents, hinting the baby might be his.
I was at the doctor. I came home and I gave him the paper saying I was pregnant. He kept the paper. He kept it with to show everybody, oh, I have a baby on the way. The whole entire pregnancy, birth and delivery. He was happy to have a baby.
Mr. Lang, when you found out I was pregnant, you were happy about it. Did you have any doubts at that time?
Not at that time, no, I didn't.
At the baby's grand entrance, Mr. Lang is there, scissors in hand, ready to cut the cord. Yet, as he looks down at the newborn, doubts cloud his joy, all thanks to a suspicious hairline that doesn't quite match up.
I said, oh, look at her, look at your baby, woo, 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 no. And then he pulled the hat off. He said, Mom, what's with this hairline? Daddy is 51 years old. Pulled it back. I said, Jimmy, let the baby's just born. Just knock it off.
Because
just don't do that.
Mr. Lang, you are not father. Are you serious?
Strap in for this roller coaster. Judge Lake begins the hearing by stating the case of Mora vs. Platt, where Ms. Mora seeks to prove Mr. Platt is the father of her 3-year-old daughter in order to have him acknowledge her and sign the birth certificate. And guess what? It's just the tip of the iceberg.
The case of Mora versus Platt.
You opened your case to prove that the defendant, Mr. Platt, is 3-year-old daughter, Anaya's biological father, in hopes that he will acknowledge her, finally sign her birth certificate.
Correct, Your Honor.
This one's a doozy. Mr. Platt expresses his doubt about being the father, leading Ms. Mora to emphasize how crucial it is for her daughter's birth certificate to list her father, relating it to her own upbringing without a father. You'll want to stick around because what comes next is a real eyebrow raiser.
Mr. Platt, you say you were to be legally responsible for a child. You seriously doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Mora.
It's important to me, you know what I'm saying? My daughter's father on her birth certificate, you know what I'm saying? I've come from a broken family. My dad was never in my life, not on my birth certificate. My daughter deserves the best, you know what I'm saying? And this is why I'm here today, because I'm gonna make sure that his name is gonna be on that birth certificate.
Did that just happen? Mr. Platt recounts that Ms. Mora was still living with her ex when they started dating, which led to his doubt about the paternity of the child, as their relationship began under complex circumstances. But hold on, the plot thickens even more just around the corner.
Before we even met, like, she was living with somebody else.
So when you met her and you all started talking, she was living. How did your relationship begin?
A little website, you know what I'm saying? I was my ex. I explained to Mr. Dad, I was with him, I lived with him. He was like, okay, cool, we're gonna talk, whatever. He to it, you know what I'm saying?
You can't make this stuff up. Ms. Mora admits to still living with her ex, even after realizing she was pregnant, which fuels Mr. Platt's doubts about paternity, particularly as she alternated between him and her ex during this period. Watch out, because the drama escalates in the next scene.
I was living with him.
And were you intimate with the other guy and Ms. Platt?
I don't know.
Because we get a lot of people that come into this courtroom, they were broken up, so they couldn't get pregnant because they were broken up.
That's why I have the doubt, you know what I mean?
And
because she would always back and
that.
forth, and then
You kept going back and forth between the two men,
Right.
Mr. Platt and then the ex, back and forth.
Right.
At some point, you realized pregnant.
Here's where it all gets tangled. Ms. Mora discusses how she informed Mr. Platt about her pregnancy and his initial acceptance, followed by the complications arising from her ex being present at the hospital during the birth, which Mr. Platt did not attend. The tension is mounting. What's coming next is even more gripping.
The first 3 months, he was cool with it. He would come to my mom, and this is why I say, right after I found out, I ended up moving with my mom because he was there.
Mr. Platt, you were present during the pregnancy.
for like the beginning of 3 months.
So now, why weren't you at the birth, Platt?
It's because that he was there, present at the hospital.
He was.
You know what I I mean, I wasn't trying.
Hospital when you had the baby?
I talked to Platt the day before I had my daughter, thinking that it wasn't his baby. The other guy didn't show up at 7 o'clock that night. Stayed the 3 days in the hospital with.
You won't believe this twist. Despite his involvement during the pregnancy and after the birth, Mr. Platt continues to doubt his paternity, influenced by Ms. Mora's ongoing interactions with her ex, which complicates their relationship and his role in the child's life. But wait, there's more drama ahead that will definitely catch your attention.
See, I don't understand that she's saying still to this day he is. He said that, oh, he's not supposed to have no ties.
Because
so you've been lying to me then.
No, he wasn't willing to step up and take that place.
I stepped up for the past year and a half and still letting the dude see him. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
and I've been doing rent and
You say for the
working.
past year and a half, she's 3.
Oh, the intrigue. Ms. Mora attempts to prove Mr. Platt's paternity with photos comparing features of their child to Mr. Platt, but his uncertainty remains, leading to a discussion about the genetic possibilities of paternity influenced by prior miscarriages with another partner. As we move forward, the stakes get even higher.
And I have pictures, you know, sometimes in the beginning I had to look like.
What are those pictures?
In the beginning, like I was doing a comparison, like she has my nose.
Step up to the monitor and describe what you are looking at.
She has my cheek. As far as in the eyes, like she has her eye. And then the next picture, she's starting to change a little bit. Like she has my ear still, but her eyes looks like the other guy's eyes.
This is a real head scratcher. Judge Lake comments on the complexity and ongoing interaction between Ms. Mora, her ex, and Mr. Platt, expressing confusion and concern about the stability and clarity of the familial relationships for the child. Brace yourself, because what unfolds next is a major reveal.
Even this little smile he does as he's kind of laughing.
And I know the other dude is not, because we've had so many miscarriages. And our last miscarriage was right before Anaya. And I lost that baby when I was 5 months. I was already in second trimester.
And here we go, the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Platt, you are father.
Can you believe this start? Case of Lindsay versus Dannenbrink kicks off, throwing us into a paternity dispute that's as tangled as a daytime soap opera. Ms. Lindsay steps up, claiming after a lifetime of secret, she's pinpointed her real dad, Mr. Dannenbrink. She's all set to lay down the proof in court, sparking curiosity about how this drama will unfold. Just wait, it's going to get even juicier.
Case of Lindsay versus Dannenbrink.
Ms. Lindsay, you say that after of lies from your mother and uncertainty about who your father is, you believe you finally found him.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say everyone in town, including his family, knows Mr. Dannenbrink is your father, and you intend to prove that.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Mr. Dannenbrink dives into his side of the story, admitting to a fling with Ms. Lindsay's mom, but vehemently denies being the father. He paints a picture of their fling as a hit and run, making it clear, in his view, fatherhood is out of the question.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit to having a sexual relationship with Ms. Lindsay's mom, but say there is no way you're biological father.
That's right, Your Honor. I'm her, and we had like a hit and run situation. She disappeared on me. Then we got back together again, and a couple of days later, she went her way. It just kept on for years that way. There's no way she could be my daughter, Your Honor.
You're not ready for this bombshell. Ms. Lindsay drops a community-sized clue, claiming that everyone, including Mr. Dannenbrink's own kin, sees him as her dad. A confrontation with an ex of Mr. Dannenbrink adds more spice, insisting Ms. Lindsay is his child. Up next, the plot thickens tremendously.
About 35 years ago, my mom does admit to having a child with Mr. Dannenbrink.
How many years ago?
About 35. When I was about 16 years old, an ex, Mr. Dannenbrink's, came to my house, and being the child that they had had together. When I had asked my mother about that, she told me no, that it wasn't true.
Guess what happens next? Several years back, all involved parties crossed paths again, leading to neighborly ties and shared holidays. Despite these close encounters, Ms. Lindsay never broached the paternity topic with Mr. Dannenbrink, fearing rejection.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, we all pretty much met up again in church. I knew that Dannenbrink was the person that I had thought, or at least was, so I just left it alone, and my mother and him had started talking again. I guess you would say, lived right next door to each other, and we started having barbecue, spent a few holidays together and things like that.
The man next door, your neighbor.
Yes.
You believe he's your biological father.
Yes.
This part is a tearjerker with a twist. Doubts about her mother's honesty push Ms. Lindsay to probe public records, finding nothing to back up familial claims. Her emotional journey through this discovery process peels back layers of family secrets. The climax is near, and it's a doozy.
Your mother's saying that Mr. Dannenbrink is not your biological father.
The doctors did say that I was born a month early, but they all said that I was going to be a boy the entire time she's pregnant with me. So they could have been wrong. My mom does admit to having a child with Mr. Dannenbrink, though the dates have kind of changed a little bit. I remember at one time it was that she was an older sister. Then I remember at another time she was a younger sister than me. She was stillborn at birth.
Buckle up for the finale.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Dannenbrink, you are not.
Sorry.
next? Here we go! The case of Davies versus Hunter kicks off with a bang. Ms. Davies accuses Mr. Hunter, after 5 years together and a planned wedding, of calling it quits due to rumors and denying paternity of their son Jaden. She's in court to set the record straight and prove he's the father. Grab your popcorn, because this drama is just getting started.
This is the case of Davies versus Hunter.
You say that after being with Mr. Hunter for 5 years, he's now given into lies and rumors about your past, scrapped your wedding plans, and is now denying your son Jaden.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you handle this twist? Mr. Hunter admits he has serious doubts about being Jaden's dad, citing Ms. Davies' sketchy past and even claiming he caught her cheating red-handed. He's adamant about needing proof of paternity before they can even think about fixing their relationship. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for what comes next.
Mr. Hunter, you say you've never fully accepted that Jaden is son because Ms. Davies has a questionable past. Fact, you say you believe you even caught her in the act of cheating on you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, the plot thickens. Both sides throw some dirty laundry in the air, admitting they've cheated due to mutual suspicions fueled by shady texts and calls found on each other's phones. The audience gasps when Ms. Davies says she entertained other men as revenge for Mr. Hunter's escapades. And guess what? There's more tea coming right up.
Well, Your Honor, we met 5.5 years ago through a mutual friend. I would say we were happy we first got together. Then I started finding text messages, phone calls from other females. So at the point of the relationship, Your Honor, I no longer trusted him.
Well, I found messages from in her phone too. Same thing. So that's why I started doing the things I was doing.
Hold on to your seats. The stakes skyrocket as Ms. Davies spills about unprotected liaisons with another man while she was still with Mr. Hunter, throwing Jaden's paternity into doubt. She clings to the hope that Mr. Hunter is the dad, despite the tangled web of lies. You won't believe the bombshells dropping next.
Well, once I briefly had a relationship with the guy. We were sexually together a few times.
Did you use
Why
protection?
she was with me?
A couple times we did not, Your Honor.
That's pretty much why we're here. You find out you're pregnant.
He was denying my son from the gate. I found messages, I know you were other guys, so are you sure this is my son? I said, yes, I'm sure this is your son.
This gets messier by the minute. Mr. Hunter dives deeper into his doubts, rattling off rumors and first-hand sightings of Ms. Davies' sketchy escapades, including times she supposedly hopped in and out of cars with other dudes. The plot is thickening fast, so don't go anywhere.
People tell me that she been hanging out, hopping in and out of cars. You know what I mean? I had a friend that told me they went to a party one time with some guy at the party. That was around the time when the baby was going to be conceived.
I did go to party, but as far as me hooking up with guys at a party, that is false, Your Honor.
Did that really just happen? The emotional roller coaster hits a peak, discussing Jaden's birthday bash that Mr. Hunter skipped, highlighting the depth of their personal and co-parenting struggles. It's a mess, and it's only going to get messier. Stay tuned, because the next revelation is a doozy.
He's present in the home, but he does not physically interact with Jaden. We just had a birthday party for Jaden. Devon didn't show up.
Why didn't you show up to the child's birthday party, Mr. Hunter?
And she gonna start tripping on me and all kind of stuff, because we were, like, at that time, she was mad at me anyway.
It doesn't matter, you're still supposed to show up to his birthday party.
If I came to the birthday party,
But
she would have
if
been
this
jumping all
potentially
over me in front of all the guests at the birthday party.
Are you ready for this? As the courtroom drama winds down, couple reflects on their rocky relationship and its impact on little Jaden. Ms. Davies tries to connect the dots with physical traits she claims Jaden shares with Mr. Hunter. The verdict is up next, and you're not going to want to miss it.
Ms. Davies, I heard you just say I know for certain I have
Mr. Hunter's hair, and look at my son's. They both have curly hair, nice hair. My hair is nothing like that. My hair is nappy. I need a perm.
both of their hair look a mess, but I'm gonna give the baby a pass.
I was getting mine done, Your Honor.
And I understand you're looking at texture of hair.
You thought that was wild? Wait till you hear this.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hunter, you are not father.
I told you.
Brace yourselves, folks. The case is introduced, involving Mr. and Mrs. Knowles and Mr. Lindsley in a paternity dispute. The Knowles assert that Mr. Lindsley is not the father of the 3-month-old son, Tyler Jr., and accuse him of disrupting their family life. The room is buzzing. You won't believe what's coming up next.
Mr. and Mrs. Knowles previously appeared in court with the defendant for a paternity case involving another child. You're back today because this love triangle has led you to yet another paternity dispute. Mr. and Ms. Knowles, you say you need to prove to Mr. Lindsay that he is not father of your 3-month-old son, Tyler Jr., and believe he's claiming paternity to bust up your happy family.
Well, this is a curveball. Mr. Lindsley claims Mrs. Knowles was simultaneously involved with him and her husband. He is convinced that he is the father of her child and expresses his intention to seek custody. The moment is intensified by Mrs. Knowles revealing her pregnancy situation in a hospital room, attended by both men. Just when you think it can't get any more intense, the next next clip proves you wrong.
Mrs. Knowles doesn't want to admit she was with you, her husband, during the same time. And once you're proven to be her child father, you will fight for custody.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you found out you were pregnant, who did you tell?
Me.
Him.
Me.
He was in the hospital with.
I was in the hospital room.
When I said, who did you tell? When I found out you were pregnant, I heard two me.
No, I told Mr. Knowles because he was in the room with me.
Are you ready for this? Mr. Lindsley provides a calendar as evidence, claiming Mrs. Knowles was living with him during the conception period, despite her claims of reconciliation with her husband in March. This revelation brings confusion about the exact timeline of Mrs. Knowles' living situation. The plot thickens. Hold on to your seats for what happens next.
What I have calculated up and with the evidence that I have here, she was either sleeping with both of us or sleeping with me, living at my house during the time that she would have conceded. She claims that she was back with Mr. Knowles around the 22nd of March, and she actually didn't move out of my house closer to the end of April.
Here comes a twist. Mrs. Knowles attempts to clarify her living arrangements, presenting photos as proof of her presence in her family home in March. Mr. Lindsley disputes this, maintaining that she lived with him until April. This dispute over timelines continues to complicate the paternity question. Strap in. The roller coaster isn't over yet.
Your Honor, no, that's not right. We pictures of me and my other kids and Mr. Knowles in our house.
On my Facebook page, I took a picture of me and my oldest on our couch on March 22nd. There's no way.
Issue is that doesn't mean that she wasn't still intimate with Mr. Lindsley in April.
Didn't see that coming. The discussion shifts towards personal belongings and living situations post-breakup. Mr. Knowles interjects about picking up Mrs. Knowles' belongings from a different location, contradicting Mr. Lindsley's claims that she stayed with him longer. Just wait. The next moment takes it up a notch.
All of her stuff was at a different house, not Mr. Lindsley's. Because she destroyed my house as she moved her stuff out. That's another story.
She wasn't even really staying with Mr. Lindsley at the time.
She was staying with a friend of hers.
So then that means that she wouldn't have even been staying with you until the closer beginning of May.
Me and Mr. Lindsley actually separated in the middle of March.
This is getting real. Mr. Knowles passionately asserts his belief that he is the biological father of the child, citing physical resemblances. The emotional stakes are high as he expresses his desire to resolve the paternity issue and eliminate the ongoing conflict with Mr. Lindsley. Get ready, because what's next will surely surprise you.
Tearing us apart because that little boy right there, I know he's mine. Anybody can tell you he's my child. He's got my eyes, he's got my hair, he's even got
your hairline.
He looks like me all around. He's my little prodigy.
I just want to get the results, Your Honor, and done with him, period. Chaotic. I want to move on with my family, be away from all this.
This is a pivotal point. As the case nears its conclusion, Mr. Lindsley still insists he could be the father, leading to a tense exchange about Mrs. Knowles' fidelity and the exact timing of her relationships. The judge stresses the importance of resolving the paternity for the sake of the child involved. Buckle up for the dramatic reveal ahead.
You have the baby and you name the baby Tyler Jr.
Which when she called me about having the baby, she told me a whole nother name. Remember the exact name she told me, but she did not.
Okay, but what matters is what's on his birth certificate. Because my name is on his birth certificate.
What matters in terms of name, what's on the birth certificate, but the truth is, just means it's his legal name.
And now, the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Knowles.
Can you believe this opener? At the beginning of the episode, Mr. Harvey steps up and claims he is not the father of Ms. Jett's child, demanding a whopping $496.50 back for baby supplies he bought under duress. He argues these expenses were unfairly demanded by Ms. Jett, who in turn throws a curveball by asking for a paternity test to prove Mr. Harvey's paternity. Buckle up, the ride's just starting.
Mr. Harvey, you are asked court to award you $496.52 for baby supplies you say the defendant, Ms. Jett, demanded for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about a plot twist right out of the gate. Mr. Harvey spills the beans on how he met Ms. Jett through a dating site, and bam, she was pregnant practically before the second date. They shacked up almost immediately, yet Ms. Jett swears the baby making happened a tad later than Mr. Harvey recalls. Their whirlwind romance speeds up from 0 to 100 real quick. You'll want to stick around because it only gets spicier from here.
Take me back first to this relationship. You met on a dating site.
I met her on a dating site and got pregnant 2 weeks after having sex sex she got pregnant.
Your Honor, that's a lie. In July, started dating Harvey. Every day, I actually moved with Harvey in July. Every day.
In with
yes,
him?
I did.
Just when you thought you'd heard it all, Ms. Jett is over the moon when she shares the big news of her pregnancy with Mr. Harvey, who's initially thrilled, thinking he's about to be a dad. However, Paradise lost. She jets back to Orlando, citing Mr. Harvey's wandering ways as the deal breaker. Trust me, what's coming next will knock your socks off.
When you find out you're pregnant, you tell Harvey.
And he was so happy.
Mr. Harvey, you were happy when you heard the news.
I was happy.
Because you thought it was your child.
After she found out she was pregnant, stopped talking, she moved to Orlando, she wrote.
Why'd you stop talking?
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
The courtroom drama intensifies. Mr. Harvey, armed with receipts, stands his ground, proving he didn't just shop for baby supplies. He practically filled a nursery at Ms. Jett's insistence. But Ms. Jett counters, claiming the shopping list wasn't fully checked off. The judge dives into the receipts with the focus of a detective. Fasten your seatbelts. It's about to get bumpier.
I have evidence to show you that I have bought things she said on this, everything she demanded me.
Asked him months
I have evidence right here.
I'd like to see that evidence.
She wrote me on Facebook, demand I have the receipt where I bought everything on the list.
You need to make sure you bring me all of these things. 1, diapers. 2, baby wipes. 3, pacifiers. 5, her car seats. And she need all this stuff before April. Bye.
You might need a map for this turn. Mr. Harvey, feeling duped, questions the baby's paternity after discovering Ms. Jett tagged another man in the newborn's social media pictures while still shopping around romantically. This bombshell leads him to doubt everything about their connection. The next part is a doozy.
After she had the baby, she had told me the whole time she was pregnant that she was in a sexual relationship. That's one. And another thing is she had the baby and tagged dude name in the picture when the baby was first born. When she tagged another dude, baby mom, why didn't you tag me in the picture? And my family had to tell me, oh, you know she tagged another dude name in the picture.
The stakes are high and getting higher. Mr. Harvey argues he financially supported Ms. Jett through her pregnancy, despite the murky waters of their relationship and his doubts about being the father. Ms. Jett, on the other hand, is not having it and disputes the extent of his contributions. The plot thickens, and you'll want to see how this unfolds.
A money order right here.
Your Honor, he had not given money.
And a receipt for the money order. And that was $100. And then when she was pregnant,
so you say you gave her cash multiple times, but you just have a receipt for 1 money order? Has he given you any other? So he hasn't given you money multiple times, but he has given you this $100.
Yes,
I only have evidence for that. So she's going, yeah, he gave it, she got it. But if I ain't have evidence for that.
This episode takes an unexpected dive into the deep end. The court probes deeper into Mr. Harvey's paternity doubts, sparked by Ms. Jett's ongoing escapades and a flurry of red flags about the baby's daddy drama. The courtroom tension escalates as they dissect their short-lived, tempestuous affair. Brace yourself. Climax is up next.
Possibly be the father?
No, I didn't even know she was dating him. I didn't even know until I got that phone call.
Well, they only knew each other a month. And he promised you he was going to step up and be there for your daughter and for the baby?
Don't worry, you ain't got to worry about me leaving her. You said that.
And I can sense your anger and because you feel like turned his back on.
You can cut the tension with a knife. As the hearing drags on, the emotional and financial drain on both parties is palpable. The judge loses patience with their youthful antics and the tangled web they've woven, highlighting the desperate need for a paternity test to sort out the mess. You won't believe the bombshell about to drop.
The multiple dudes, she got pregnant fast. The departure, I was still there, and the real departure when I stopped seeing the baby was because she had threatened me. That's the reason why I didn't go seeing the baby, is because she had threatened my life, you know?
Your Honor, he tried to make me walk home.
Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey. Mr. Harvey, you are not her father.